All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I am joined with Juanito. Juan, how are you?
Nino. I love you saying that. You know what? Oh, I got to tell you, this is
Spot
funny.
on.
The other day, so I get on an airplane, and this is the second time this has happened in the last 2 weeks. And so I don't know what I did, or I said something to Jen or somebody. And so this lady looks up at me, and I thought, gosh, did I say something wrong, or am I doing something wrong? I'm looking around, am I bump somebody or whatever? And then she sees the ring. She says, "Oh, I knew it was you." And I'm like, "What? What did I do?" Said, "No, you're 107."
And you know that's pretty crazy. I mean, they recognize your voice.
It was my voice. Then she saw the ring, but she just heard that voice a little bit, and she says, "I love hearing you on Nino. We listen to Nino all the time. Tell Nino to just don't hand wring too much because you don't have that cream anymore. Is he running out?"
No, I got it.
She was
I
so
got
cute.
it.
And
Well, let's get into this,
I
Juan,
said
because
she had good hearing there. She must have pretty good hearing there, but
very
she
good
would
hearing.
say Nino, so I did. And then a couple other people on the plane were like, oh, Juan's in the room. It was pretty funny.
Well, Juan is this is for YouTube, so as Pam
I'll be on my
Bondi.
best behavior.
All right, Pam Bondi is now Attorney General. She was confirmed.
Yep.
A lot of chess pieces are being maneuvered in now, and the walls are closing in on them. I mean, and then you have Chuck Schumer screaming from the rooftops about USAID, how
USAID,
uh,
yes.
what USAID, okay, USAID. So the end is near for USAID. Marco Rubio and the Trump administration have begun recalling all USAID staffers on worldwide assignments.
Well,
Investigations
can
are
I
going to
can
go
I
in.
help out for a second? Hold on. Let me just
Sure.
give a little bit of background on who USAID is. It's been essentially a branch division, and that's been the case for 70 years. So they have, essentially worked in a covert sense. Um, and I'll spare everybody the details because we'd probably get taken down over it. But even certain members of presidential families had their history with USAID before those people got to the presidency. It's a very a lot of really what amounts to money laundering under the auspices of doing aid to other countries has been funneled into black bag projects for those personnel. And the director during the church committee hearings acknowledged that in South America, anyway, every single USAID employee was actually an employee. So if you look at what Trump's doing, in fact, just a short while ago, I don't even think it's been an hour ago where we're doing this conversation today, Nino, Trump announced that he was going to give an offer to all employees to retire now, immediately. Go ahead and just retire. He's not forcing them out. He's like, just go ahead and retire. And then the question would be, is he going to authorize funds for the new hires? Or under what circumstances? So you see a very Kennedy-esque move to dismantle and scatter the pieces to the four winds. He's done something not quite as aggressive, but pretty aggressive also. He fired all the probationary officers that were brought in to investigate a certain matter that I don't even know if I can say here in this location.
Right.
But Biden made them full-time, permanent employees just before he left office. Well, Trump negated that, nixed it, not happening. They were probationary and were firing them. So it was
Well,
15.
Schumer here says that Trump is running a shadow government now, and it's kind of funny because okay, now you know what it feels like. It's actually they're disclosing everything they're doing, but I'm going to play here what Schumer says about
Okay.
Elon and Doge just real quick.
Elon Musk took issues to my warning that Doge is operating in many ways like a shadow government. Here's what I said. I said, quote, DOJ is not a real government agency. Quote, DOJ has no authority to make spending decisions. Quote, DOJ has no authority to shut programs down or ignore federal law. DOJ's conduct, I said, cannot be allowed to stand.
So what do you think of that? Did you hear
Well,
that?
he's misstating what's going on here. Trump has created essentially a commission. We do this with citizens all the time to come in and look at stuff. So, for example, under Reagan, he had a commission looking at taxes, the Grace Commission. And then they come in and advise, here's the things that we think should be done. Elon's just doing it much more quickly. He's essentially looking at all the things that need to be done and then making recommendations. And then because Trump's not waiting for other branches of government, the legislature, et cetera, to agree, he's just putting it into executive orders. Get her done. This is what we're doing. So it then does have the weight of government, policy decisions, et cetera. And so they may not like it, but let's flip this on its ear. You have senior executive service, and they've been doing all sorts of things in a very similar manner, but it was operated out of an executive order under Carter. It's become, totally institutionalized created out of executive order out of Truman. And so within all of those in the FBI, prior to that under Roosevelt. So with all of that in mind, this is not a completely unknown practice. And what they're doing is they're gutting all of these things that aren't actually constitutionally in place or mandated. And what Trump is ultimately doing and what Elon and the others in these things are doing, they're drilling holes in the foundation of what is commonly called state. The dictionary definition for everybody that's out there, just because wait, what's the deep state? State are those agents or government employees that remain in place between elected administrations. So they provide the continuity in government between elected administrations. They keep everything going and rolling and whatever, in whatever position they're in. And what Trump is doing with these people like Elon and many others is he's sending them out. Is this necessary? Is that necessary? Are we going to keep doing this? And wherever they think that there's duplication or it's an unnecessary federal position that should actually revert back to the states, like what he's doing over at the Department of Education. And by the way, Nixon said that the greatest mistake of his presidency was probably most likely the creation of the Department of Education. Now, he said that a decade later, but in seeing the aftermath of what occurred there, he felt that was the single greatest failure of his administration was institutionalizing that.
AKA indoctrination camps.
Yes. And so you think of all the things that happened during the Nixon era, and there's an awful lot there. I mean, I'm actually a fan of Nixon. If you look at what he had to face coming in, it was a very daunting task to try and unravel what was there. And he, having come from the Rockefeller camp or having been in there for a very long time, when history's through, we will probably, my personal belief, have to put Nixon in the same role as Admiral Rogers over at NSA. He understood the problem. He was trying to get in the right positions to make a difference. He understood the players, including the Rockefeller side of government and all these agencies that the Rockefeller crew, the UN, and many other similar things, which I won't go into right now, but we've talked about other times. And he was very, very familiar with it. He worked down the hall from David Rockefeller, and Kissinger had the office in between losing to Kennedy and coming back and winning the presidency. But then he turned on them as far as they were concerned during his presidency, and that's why Watergate happened. Short version. I've done talks on this, longer talks. But the reason I say that, remember that Trump is Nixon's message in a bottle. Trump and Nixon became very good friends after Nixon was out of office. Nixon told him where to go, what to look for. You're a sweetie. You see that there, Dino?
Jeez. Steve and
I'm
Teresa.
telling
All
you,
right.
I can't.
Well, mahalo.
When I'm telling you, my voice, it's getting harder.
Yeah, but I got to interrupt. Otherwise, my ass will get sore and I can't continue.
Anyway, let me just say that Nixon is, Trump is Nixon's message in a bottle. And now all of these things that you're seeing him do are in large measure the things that Nixon said, you're going to have to fight this, you're going to have to stop that, you're going to have to make a push here. And for all the people that may have hated Nixon, Trump took all of that to heart, and he's here to dismantle and drill holes in the foundations of the un-American side of so much of what is going on in our government. And and Nino, let me just say this: we're only 14 days in.
I know. Well, Trump's already put out he's already put out a statement saying that he's left instructions in case of an assassination on him by Iran. He said that'd be a terrible thing for them to do, not because of me. If they do that, they would be obliterated. That would be the end of them. And then he has left instructions.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, let me add one little thing here too, Nino. You know, there's somebody asked me again the other day. You know, what about the stuff in the skies that's being sprayed? And I've told your audience before that that's related to SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative, and that's part of our defensive systems for long-range missiles. One of the things that Iran has purported numerous times behind the scenes is, you know, they couldn't inundate us with hundreds of missiles. They're going to make it. In fact, they tried a bunch of intermediate range missiles, and now, you know, I think 2 of them got through in Israel because we have other defense systems in place. But these long range ones that go out into space and come back in, one of the concerns is that they claim to have perfected an EMT, electromagnetic pulse, EMP, weapon that a missile could carry. It may or may not be true, but that spraying is in part able to very, very, very near instantaneously deflect a pulse like that. That's why when the Chinese balloons came over America, they had to get underneath that. So they came in high and then bled off altitude to get below that layer, so that certain systems around those balloons that could do penetrate the earth and look down under the surface for caverns and facilities and things like that. They had to get underneath that layer, as upsetting as it is for so many. And I understand, I'm not blowing it off. It is a concern, and it's a valid concern. But for the moment, this is not the time to stop that. Let's get through these crises of the next year or two. It's been there for quite a while, longer than most people realize. And let's finish the job so that we can, and that we're transitioning into new systems that will make that completely unnecessary. But those systems
since we're on
come
this,
online tested, it's going to take a little longer. But yeah, go ahead.
since we're on this subject, I was on with Alpha and we were talking about the Iron Dome for America.
Yep.
And how could it be that Elon shooting these missiles into the sky is really testing for the Iron Dome? Is that a possibility, Juanito? Are they really testing the Iron Dome so they have to shoot off these rockets? And almost every single one of them gets blown out of the sky. I mean, is this testing our defenses? Is that really what he's doing under the cover of we're going to Mars?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's the case, but I wouldn't argue completely against it, but wouldn't really be necessary. We have other places and situations that we can test that,
All right,
and with a private contractor, and they're in the location where these things are happening is not really the proper location as far as the launch phase and stuff like that. But I could be proven wrong. I don't know. So
so then let's switch gears for a second. I'm here on the border. I believe this is going to be ground zero. I'm a little stressed out, actually, to be honest with you. They can feel the tension here. It's building. And I feel that now that Claudia is playing ball with Trump, as far as we can see, I'm pretty sure. I predict, this is my prediction, she won't make it to the end of the year. I think she's being tugged in so many different directions, and I think if she's going to be playing ball with Trump, she won't live to see the end of the year, in my opinion. I think this is going to get way out of hand. I just saw that, we had 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝗹 Jr., 𝗀𝗵𝗋 taken into custody right here at the Santa Teresa airport. You got 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃 in.
Well, that was months and months and months ago, by the way.
Right, that was then. Hold on.
Yeah.
I know, but then 𝗀𝗃𝗃 just got arrested in 𝗬𝗶𝗱𝗏, and there was a big shootout over there. There's a lot of imbalance within the cartels.
Yep.
And they have put out statements that they're going to use drones to kamikaze the Border Patrol agents.
Okay, let me help you out here.
Let me finish my question. Do you think that Trump is maybe baiting them in for them to make a move so we can go in and clean house?
Well, part of the thing with Mexico, within their government, they have to pick a side. And part of that is, are they going to pick the money side with the really wealthy Mexicans who are benefiting because of their relationships with China? Or are they going to decide that they want to buddy up with the United States government and with Trump specifically? Will they be safer working with Trump or working with the money and the Chinese? The reality is the money and the Chinese will betray them. They're just a pawn in the game. Their safest route, and they're already realizing this, is to go with Trump. Why? Because he has the bigger gun. You can pretend that because these people have been able to act with impunity and without really any challenges, doing all the bullshit that they've been doing, that they can continue to do so. The reality is we have plenty of muscle. We just haven't stood up and used it because we've had people in office who were two-faced and were already given over to a globalista type of a perspective on how things should move forward. Trump doesn't have the same attitude or perspective, and therefore he can do and will do and has done things that politically just seemed a bridge too far. He didn't care. He's got 4 years to do whatever he feels he wants to do, and he doesn't have to worry about reelection and or opposition. His opposition is dissolving and going away like the shifting sands under your feet on the beach. You have 20,000 federal employees that have decided to take the offer to retire by February 6th. That's how fast this is. You got a few days to make a decision. And we got 2 more days that, they could make those decisions. I think you're going to have double that number. When it comes time to replace those positions, they're not going to have money to put people back in for replacement. They're going to pare those jobs down and send them back to the states or dissolve them completely. And in multiple agencies, that's a lot of the resistance. Remember, 90%, think about this, Nino, 90% of the people that live in D.C. vote Democrat. Across the country, federal employees, it's about 80% vote Democrat. And they realize that they've worked together, mutually self-supporting and promoting and everything else. But what Trump's doing is drilling holes in the foundation of those operations, cutting off the money supply and other things. And what's he ultimately going to do? Like it or not, this is a demolition operation. When the crew comes in to get ready to bring down a really big building, they go out and remove supports. They'll leave certain primary supports in place, but they'll remove all of the bracing, all of the wind bracing and things like that, cables and things like that to keep a building from swaying. they'll drill holes in critical places and they'll put dynamite, really intense explosives, detonation cord, det cord, in various places, and that blow up so hard, so fast that they liquefy concrete, turn it to just soup, and remove that support at key places. And then the whole building comes down. He's going to bring the whole house of cards down that has been in large measure, protecting certain viewpoints out through the federal operations, and push those activities like Reagan wanted to do back to the states. And just like the Department of Education, no, we want the states to make those decisions. We want the states to have the money and spend the money. We're not taking it in federal taxes and revenue and then dole it out to the states based on certain guidelines that we force on the states that they don't want to do. And I can't even get into the details because of where we're at in this channel, but that's the plan, and it is working. The only other thing I'd say is this, when you watch an aircraft go down the runway and it's gaining speed, that aircraft may be able to go 500-600 miles an hour subsonic. Maybe it's a military aircraft and could go Mach 2 or even Mach 3. But when it rotates to come up off the runway, the tires can only take speeds up to 180, 200 miles an hour. Certain military aircraft might be able to go up to, pushing 250, close to 300. But that's it. And then where they have certain wire wheels and stuff like that for super high-speed aircraft landing and takeoff. But when they lift off, they're moving at a fraction of the speed that they can go, and they're down in the denser atmosphere. Then they go up to altitude, and they climb out altitude and speed. When they're up cruising, they're covering in seconds what took a minute or two to cover because they're so fast and moving on. You haven't seen what's going to happen yet. This administration they just barely got the nose wheel up off the ground. The main gear haven't even pulled off yet. When this thing actually gets up and moving over the next several months, you're going to see this thing going out to altitude, and then the administration be able to do things you never dreamed out across the world very, very, very quickly because they have the resolve to do it. Trump, by his age, what are you going to offer him to stop? Yeah. What are you going to bribe him with? And the people that he's got around him all know they're there on a mission. Anybody doesn't want to toe the line, they don't want to do whatever that they agreed to before they started, they'll be gone so fast, you won't even be able to hear the freaking door starting to creak back before they get a boot in the ass and they're gone. And oftentimes when you're cleaning stuff out like this within certain positions, including military or corporate and things like that, a lot of times you'll send in somebody that is a transition person, and they take the hits, but they know what their job is. They're in there to kick out people, take all the heat, and then leave. They're there on a mission. And then the next guy doesn't have to take the heat for having done these things, the angst, etc. He comes in, things are a little bit more stabilized, and then he goes where he really wants to go. So some of these people you see coming in may not be the end solution for the long range that is yet to come. So,
Juan,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I want to go to Nino'sCorner.tv, but before we do that, I want to ask you one last question here. Yeah. It says now we are bringing the worst of violent criminal illegals to Guantanamo Bay. They're arriving now.
Well, remember, I think I told it to your audience when on Inauguration Day or the day before. What Trump is doing is he is letting everybody know he's serious, whether it's a nation president like he did with Colombia and Panama and Mexico, or the individuals themselves out across America. Even the president of Colombia came on TV and told all the Colombians, Trump is serious. We're going to get the bill for you being there in America. Don't break Colombia's back on the finances. You got to come home, please. That's just the first one. Even where you were talking about, the border with what you're doing down there in El Paso, a lot of the people are going to remove themselves from America, self-deport. And that'll be wise, because then they have a chance to maybe get some assets sold, leave cleanly, and before they're forced to leave, or on the way going home have to wait in a Walmart detention center or some other
Why is it always
housing.
Walmart's really like the place to be for these people, isn't it?
Well, I mean, they leave Walmart, they won't shop there anymore, but they may end up back there for
They
what's
be held
coming.
captive in Walmart.
Yeah,
Oh
well,
my
it sounds
gosh.
funny, but
It's
that video
horrible.
I
It's
showed
just
you the other day.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's going to become their prison. Well, Juan, let's
Well,
go to
hold on a
Nino's
second. Let me just finish this one
Corner.tv.
thought. Let me just finish this one quick thought, bro. And that is that, again, for the people that are here and they're not here legally, right now, what's happening is you're getting this window. You're seeing the pressure. It's real. You're seeing that these actions, they're not, we're not just playing patty cake. Trump's not kidding around. But the other side of it is he hasn't fully built out the force that's going to go out and remove something between, depending on which group you're in, 15 to 30 million people. 10%
Nice.
of the U.S. population is here without proper papers, etc. So they're getting a chance if they leave and get outside the country, then they can file to come back in. A lot of them we actually want back. And a lot of them are here and we want them back. We just want them back under the right circumstances. But they have to make the decision to bite down hard, go back to their country, file the paperwork. And then what Trump's going to do that nobody actually knows right now is he's going to expedite speedily bringing in some of the people that did leave and reward them for doing that by, we want you back, but we want you back where you're clean. It's like clearing all the records so they can actually not have to look over their shoulder. And they've got family here that are here illegally, and we start working the process because we're going to be growing so fast, so hard in America with the things that Trump has put in play. We're going to need a much larger workforce that we don't have right this second. So as we get a year and 2 years out and the country begins to stabilize again, and then the jobs start coming on, we will be willing, under the right circumstances, with the right kinds of paperwork, to bring people in, at higher wages. And they'll be better off, we'll be better off. But we first have to clear the decks. We're going to stop this mischief. So if they self-deport, they'll be in a far better position, not just them, but their kids or future generations, and we'll be in better shape to be able to accept them on the right terms and conditions. If you don't self-deport and you get picked up and you get sent home, you're never coming back. You're not going to get paperwork. You will not be allowed. And because you had to be deported, and you're not coming back anytime soon. So it's in the interest of these people to self-deport. They're going to figure this out very quickly, Nino, and they're going to
Oh,
go
I
home,
think it's hitting.
or
It's
they're
hitting here on the
forced
borderland.
to go
It's
home.
hitting here on the borderland.
And people
I can
like
see
the
it.
president of Mexico and the people in Guatemala, because there's a path that they have to follow, are going to have to open the gates and allow them to come through, and safely. And where they would be in danger because of the cartels, Mexico, and I told this to your audience the other day on your show, Nino, Mexico is going to have to work with our side. They can't get the borders under control themselves militarily.
Yeah, but you agree
They're going
with
to have to
me.
allow us to come in
You
there and help
agree.
them.
You
Yeah.
agree with me that they are going to retaliate. The cartels are. It's fight or die.
Okay, but
It's fight or flight. They're going to have to do something. I'm not going to say they're going to succeed, but I expect
Nino, here's what I
something.
want to tell you. I want to tell your audience. This is why I didn't want to leave here and go to the back channel until we've said this. Don't kid yourself. Are these guys going to show up, and they might think they have, I don't care if they got man pads and drones and everything, and they're going to try. You know what? Light one or two of those off and see what the hell happens. Fuck around and see what happens, okay? Because we won't be playing patty cakes. And a lot of
could
the
Trump
stuff
be
you've never
waiting for
heard
that?
about.
But to get
But
the
why
quote a
wouldn't
public,
he be? Why wouldn't he be? He's drawn a line in the
that's what
sand
I'm
and he's
saying.
daring them. I dare you. And then
Right.
when
But
he
let's
acts,
say they
it
do.
will
Let's
not be
just
patty cake.
hold on, but let's just say they do. So Trump baits them in. They do something like, which I've experienced the cartel wars here in Juarez and El Paso. They shot up schools, they shot up soccer fields. They do that one time here. And that gives Trump all the reason he needs to go in there and take Mexico out.
That's what I'm
Right?
telling you. Yeah.
So,
So
but are we waiting for that?
what
I
we're
mean, could he
doing,
be baiting them to do that? Because they're going to make a move.
well, again, Nino, is that wrong? Look, are you remember when Patton got into Italy and Montgomery was going to sit there and fuck around and take 6 months to, get Italy. And all these guys are dying on the beaches. And Patton says, excuse me, we're not going to just sit here and play at this. We're going for the gold. And yes, it's going to cost some lives. It's going to cost a whole hell of a lot less lives to just get in there and get it done. And in the end, he had a fraction of the fatalities that people were projecting because he just went in there and got it done. How many, just think about the cartels that we're dealing with while we're dicking around here. Uh, and I use some of those words on purpose because that's what's exactly happening. Okay. And it's killing people. While we're playing, kids are dying of fentanyl overdoses. Their lives are being destroyed. They're being maimed. They're being damaged, and they'll never be the same person again. It continues to go out through the streets. Every day that this takes is having a toll that's not even the toll that you see at the border. So what has to be done is you have to move with some assurity. We're giving them room. You got a chance. You want to walk away? Now's the time. But if you can't, if you won't, and if you're going to try to hold that position, don't expect what happens from the American side to be what's been happening and not at the level it's been happening. And now you see that the Mexican president, the Panamanian president, other presidents in other countries, Colombia and others, they are succumbing to the pressure. They will allow us. And remember, when Trump designated the cartels as terrorist organizations at a legal level internationally, if they're doing terrorism on our side of the border, we have the international legal right to go in and attack them wherever they are and take them out because they're terrorists, internationally recognized designated terrorists. So Mexico can work with us or they can get the fuck out of the way because we're coming in there and taking care of business. Why? Because they're killing Americans. And they're in cahoots. They're a proxy army for China. China is trying to itself drill holes in the American population, our youth, and to damage
Well, they're
them so
all
that
over
we're less.
Mexico, man. There's places in Juarez,
Yeah,
Chinese camps. There's
yeah,
ISIS camps in Juarez.
yeah. So again, they think that they're safe there. And I'm just telling you, Nino, they're extremely exposed. When we finally begin to act, and we'll do so with the Mexican government's blessing, don't kid yourself, and other governments' blessings in other places. As tough as they sound like they are right now, they will not. They'll be vaporized. They'll be gone. Look at what happened over in Somalia the other day. You had a warlord over there um, who was part of this crew that was setting up terrorist attacks in America. And by the way, he was related to one of the warlords that was part of the reason we went in there during Black Hawk Down to take out those warlords. He probably is, but we don't know, but he was with that crowd. He's in his little bunker, underground bunker there in Somalia and orchestrating the next terrorist attack on the West here in America. So Biden administration knew where he was for years as he's moving around. Nobody touched him. Why? Because they were saving him for the right moment to distract in the news or something. In the meantime, he's killing Americans and others. So Trump says, where's he at? And they had the answer in a matter of hours. And so Trump people call over to the president of Somalia, hey, you got a problem with us dealing with this problem that's in your backyard? He is a threat to you guys and the rest of East Africa and the world. We know where he is, and we can take him out, and there will be no other civilian casualties. We'll be really careful. We don't need a 5,000-pound bomb. We're just going to put a little 500-pound bomb right down through his front door in his little underground cave. You got a problem with that? And the president of Somalia is, no, sir. Please do that. Yes. And so in very short order, hours, not days, he went to go meet his maker and a couple of people that were with him, and nobody else got hurt. Trump is going to go in with surgical precision and take out some of these monsters. And if China pushes back, we know where their girlfriends are. We know where their illegitimate kids are. We know where their vacation houses are. We know where their grandma is. You want to raise the stakes? Trump's ready to raise the stakes. We're going to get this once and done. And that's the right answer, Nino. A thug is threatening you with your life. He's threatening your family with your life. Are you just going to stand there and capitulate? They're going to own everything you have. They're going to own you. You're their slave. Slaves no more. We're not playing that game. We're going to go in there, and we have beautiful, absolutely the best military people coming back online who are ready to go to war to get this thing right and get back to American ideals. So,
all right, Juanito, let's go back. Let's go to NinoCorner.tv.
But I'm glad we did. Yeah,
I really want to talk to you about names of people that I think, I'll say like with they look terrified right now, like Schumer, and I want to go into detail on what that's going to look like coming around March, April, May. Could we see an escalation of justice against these type of people? That's what I want to talk about on Nino's Corner.
Well, let me just add this. Anybody else notice, has Schumer's voice gone up about 3 octaves?
Oh, man. Oh, he looks terrified. He looks terrified, Juan.
Yeah, something.
And then I also want to talk. I also want to talk about the rest of them, all the rest of the actors. What's going to happen? What kind of justice? Right now, we're seeing all the immigrants, the violent illegal immigrants, go to Guantanamo. But will people really want to see? Will justice be served with these people? And that's what I want to get into, folks.
But Nino, hold on a second. Just before you close it out, we're only 14 days in. We have people coming in right now with federal protection that everything that's been done to build out the case, they want to duplicate it. So they'll duplicate it here on U.S. turf, and it will result in action. It will be a very intelligent, mapped out, coordinated response. At this point, Trump is firmly in office, and nothing's going to stop what's coming. So now you work intelligently. You race up to speed, get up to altitude. You're going to be covering so much ground so fast that, and very efficiently, we're not going to go off half-cocked, not paying attention and miss anything. What those people need to be the most concerned about is that as every day goes by before they get picked up, the case is more fully built out, and others who thought they were going to hide in the shadows and not get gotten to in whatever location they're at, including certain 3-letter agencies that thought they were immune. All of their friends have left. They're not even working there. They can't even give them intel. Right. You see what happened to the 51?
So he's purging them first. He's purging them for.
Yes, he's drilling holes in their foundation. He's
putting his chess
pieces
in place. Right. Oh my gosh. All right, Juan. Let's go to NinoCorner.tv.
Explosives in the foundation. Wait till you want to forget just pulling the switch on one. Imagine getting to be that. We should have a national lottery and line up all of the dynamite charges, with the box, who gets to push which red, uh, you know, handles to explode what, to have a national lottery. You want to do, which agency do you want to do? Okay, well, there's 100 agencies and 100 groups. And, look, you got the one for the really big one. Oh, that's going to be a great splash. Oh, man, you're so lucky.
All right, folks, go to 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗹, 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗹, and I'll see you over at NinoSmart.tv.
𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗃.com. By the way, there's just
𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗃.com.
Yeah, there's just a handful of the silver. Two handfuls of the silver things for the thing we're doing out in Vegas. All the golds are sold, but the silvers are still
When's
there
the thing
for
in
the
Vegas?
signing thing. 7, 8, 9. So of March, and a very small crowd. I didn't want to do anything big, but she has the stuff over there. If people want to come out, and she's doing an unveiling of a picture she did. It's gonna be fun. I haven't seen. I don't know what it is, but I probably should be in fear, but.
No, this is
Anyway.
this is epic to watch. All right, Juanito, I'll see you over at NinoScorner.tv.
All right, bro. All right.